The Vikings had a survival code that ignored your feelings and measured your usefulness. And it came from the Hávamál, the words of Odin in the old poetic tradition. Modern men are drowning in comfort, noise and cheap advice, then calling it freedom because the cage has better lighting. Every feat has a guru, every fool has a system. Every weak habit becomes self-care, and every excuse wears wisdom. Against that circus, the Hávamál sounds less like ancient poetry and more like a field manual for men who forgot consequences exist, built for cold mornings, hard choices, and men who could not outsource judgment to screens or applause at all. Rule 22 sits near the end, but it belongs in the opening, because death is the fear rule that makes every other rule honest. Ancient life did not reward a man for looking impressive, it rewarded usefulness when weather, hunger, strangers' shame, and violence arrived. Here are 24 rules from that code, because a man becomes weak when his word habits and discipline mean nothing. First, keep your word, because trust was survival before contracts, passwords, lawyers, and customer service existed. Then, a promise told another man whether you could trade, travel, share shelter, settle trouble, or stand beside him. Today, keeping your word means answering, paying debts, arriving sober, and not hiding behind your chaos. Second, speak less and mean more, because loose talk attracted enemies, spread feuds, and made careless men dangerous. Now it means stop vomiting opinions online, stop promising a new life by Monday, stop chasing clout, and stop confusing constant speech with strength. Third, refuse bragging, because old wisdom knew that loud men often had the weakest grip on danger. Still, modern bragging has better lighting and worse results, because the man advertising discipline needs strangers to believe it first. Fourth, guard your reputation, because the Hávamál says cattle die, kin die, and the man dies too, but a good name can outlive him. Presently, your reputation is built by repeated evidence, so if people cannot trust your mouth, your muscles, money, plans, and opinions are worthless. Visually, slow down here, because reputation is the viral blade inside the poem. Next, the code moves from speech to action, because a good name means nothing when habits fail. Fifth, wake early and act, because daylight mattered when work, repair, travel, and defense depended on daylight. Meanwhile, modern people burn attention on screens, then complain that life ambushed them before lunch. Sixth, prepare before trouble arrives, because comfort-built discipline works under pressure. Obviously, you do not learn fitness during the chase, money control after the bill, or courage while life burns. Seventh, train during easy times, because ancient hardship punished men who waited until winter to respect winter. Likewise, save before crisis, practice before conflict. Repair problems early, and stop treating panic as strategy. Eighth, use the night for rest, because a tired mind turns small threats into monsters and real threats into disasters. Eventually, the cynical truth appears. Modern people wait until their life is on fire, before they start looking for water, then blame the smoke. Routine is not glamorous, and that is why it works, because useful habits do not need applause. Try one thing after this video, set your alarm, move your phone, and win tomorrow's first 10 minutes. But discipline is not just internal, it is also about tools, fear, and decisions. Ninth, use the right tool at the right time, because survival was practical and often boring. Tools once meant blades, ropes, boats, fire, clothing, stores, and judgment, and one wrong choice could turn weather into a funeral. Currently, tools mean calendars, budgets, skills, and boundaries. Challenge yourself tonight, fix one corner, sharpen one plan, or remove one distraction. 10th, face fear with thought instead of panic, because fear can warn a man, but panic takes command from his hands. Courage was never empty posing. It was the pause where a man saw danger and still made the next clean move. 11th, control greed, because wealth moves fast and can betray the man trusting it. Money today still lies when men worship status, chase approval, and call debt a lifestyle. 12th, do not worship money, because coins, cattle, titles, and follower counts cannot replace judgment. Halfway, we are moving toward the rule about death, the one making these habits mandatory. Cheap drama feels powerful, but common sense keeps you alive. Pause here, because this is the retention danger zone, where most soft advice starts repeating itself. where the viewer either uses the rules or collects them like another useless aesthetic with zero conduct inside. If this sounds too harsh, the exit is behind you. Yet, if you are still here, you have already outlasted the circus. Survival demanded proof, and proof is cruel to men surviving on captions and borrowed opinions. Once you control your resources, you must control your perspective, because money without judgment builds a richer cage. 13th, travel beyond your little world, because a narrow road creates a narrow mind. Travel once taught a man customs, dangers, routes, weather, languages, hospitality, and the difference between confidence and ignorance. Nowadays, leaving your bubble can mean changing work, reading outside your tribe, meeting better men, and hearing irritating facts. 14th, learn from better men, because pride keeps fools loyal to their own ceiling. Better teachers do not always flatter you. Sometimes they expose how lazy your standards have become. 15th, choose friends who tell the truth, because flattery feels warm while it quietly ruins judgment. Stop here and look at the last 5 people you texted. Honestly, do they sharpen you, or do they just agree with your excuses? Comment which rule hits hardest, because friction in public is sometimes the first honest step. 16th, stay sharp around strangers, because hospitality never meant walking blind into another man's hall with your brain turned off. Growth comes from friction, not comfort, and a small life usually builds a small mind. Exposure breaks the little throne inside your head, the one saying your feed, town, or friend group solved reality. Friction teaches faster than praise, because praise often protects the part needing repair. From there, respect becomes the subject, and the old rule is simple. Never beg for what conduct earns. 17th, earn respect quietly, because real respect does not need a witness every 5 seconds. Clean clothes, controlled speech, steady work, and basic decency mattered when a guest entered a hall, and everyone measured him before trusting him. Inside modern life, the same rule survives in plain form. Wash, organize, arrive prepared, keep your space decent, and stop making chaos your identity. 18th, be generous when possible, because generosity built alliances where no man survived alone. However, generosity was not stupidity, it meant giving with judgment, not bleeding yourself dry for parasites. 19th, carry yourself with control, because fake confidence needs a stage, and real confidence can sit in silence. Weak men advertise strength, because nobody can see it otherwise. Respect in older communities came through service, courage, restraint, and reliability, not by posing on a glowing rectangle. Decency sounds boring to boys chasing applause, yet it is usually the first thing adults notice when pressure enters the room. After respect comes the friend test, because nearby men sharpen you or make you useless. 20th, test friends by truth, loyalty, and conduct, not by how comfortable they make your excuses feel. Flattering friends were dangerous in old times, because their sweet words could send a man into debt, feud, shame, or death. Real friends sharpen you, correct you, warn you, and remain steady when convenience dies. Strangers deserve politeness and caution, because a civil tongue can keep peace while open eyes keep you safe. Judging others too quickly often exposes your own faults, because loud contempt is often insecurity. Ask whether your circle tells you the truth or just keeps you comfortable. Companions were witnesses, guards, partners, rivals, and sometimes the difference between return and loss. Friendship today still has teeth when it demands better conduct instead of joining every complaint. Having your own ground, however modest, matters because a man without a stable place remains dependent on moods, favors, and emergencies. Homesteads once meant fire, storage, tools, shelter, repair, food, and a base where duty could begin. For modern men, it means clean your room, manage your money, own useful tools, keep food ready, reduce debt, and build something under your control before crisis chooses. Even a rented room with order beats an impressive life held together by other people's patience. Dependence can look luxurious until the person funding it changes his mind. A small home with order beats a big life built on dependence. Stability is not about pretending every man can own land tomorrow. It is about reducing the number of people who can destroy your week with one decision. Order starts where you sleep, where you eat, where you store your tools, and where you decide whether you are an adult. Finally, The code reaches the rule modern culture dodges hardest, death. Earlier, we started with the fear rule, and now here is why it matters. At Rule 22, remembering death without becoming weak makes every priority honest. Death cuts through costumes, excuses, borrowed status, fake friends, cheap praise, and loud performances. Nobody carries excuses into the grave, and nobody gets honored because he almost became reliable. Therefore, live well enough that your name does not need editing when your voice is gone. Legacy demands evidence, because legacy is not a mood, it remains after witnesses stop clapping. Action measures you, because the old world ignored feelings when work had to be done. Together, the full code is simple: speak carefully, act early, prepare hard, choose friends wisely, control money, face fear, keep order, learn broadly, remember death, and protect your name. Comfort has made weakness easier to hide, but it has not made weakness safer. Screens can cover idleness, debt can cover emptiness, praise can cover cowardice, and noise can cover the fact that no useful standard is being met. Older advice feels harsh because we have been sold softness as an identity. Sadly, we act shocked when soft men collapse under ordinary strain. Notice how none of these rules ask you to feel powerful, admired, special, chosen, or important before you become useful. Instead, they ask for proof, and proof checks behavior without caring about your story. Ultimately, the Hávamál still cuts because it ignores performance. Drengr is the why behind these rules, because without honor, courage, and conduct, the 24 rules become chores with old names. Watch the next lesson on Drengr, where the survival code becomes a personal standard. Tomorrow, if comfort disappeared completely, what would be left of you when nobody claps?